Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, I got the rear end in, that's all done, but the saga does still continue. So far, what I've been able to use the tractor, the rear end's doing fine, which honestly hasn't been that much. But now I'm having another issue, and I have no idea what's going on here. For some reason, I cannot get this thing to idle anymore. It's full on, full off. I know there's it could be a carburetor issue, which is what we're going to go into today. I'm going to take the carburetor off this thing and clean it up and do a couple other things. But I think it has something to do with the governor. I've done some adjusting, I've messed with it a little bit, and I've kind of come to believe that either something broke inside the motor, because the last time I used this I was having a little bit of trouble, and now I can't, it only runs full throttle. I'll show you kind of, I'll give you a listen. Let's see, I'm going to turn the gas on here. See, it's all the way up, basically on choke or nothing. But I'll show you why I think it's something other than the carburetor. But you never know. It might have something to do with the carburetor. Anyhow, I'm going to show you why I think it's the governor, which is this area in here. I don't know if you can see that. Hopefully you can. And I do know there's supposed to be a spring on this rod. I took it off messing with it when I was doing this. And this is why I kind of don't think it's carburetor. I was able to actually get this thing kind of idling and getting the gas working here. I might need to let it warm up. This is one of those places where I tell you, if you do anything I do and you hurt yourself, I'm not responsible. If you don't like the way I'm doing it, don't do it. But anyway, there you go. I could kind of make it rev up. This is hooked to the governor here. So I have kind of pulled this all apart and kind of redid it. The spring in here kind of had popped off, so I thought that might have been the problem, but it might have popped off when I was pulling this off here. I don't really know. I messed with the spring a little bit, and like I said, I know there's supposed to be a spring here, which I have taken off just because I was doing what I was doing there. And I actually think without this it even works better. So I do know there's a way to kind of bypass the governor and put your own you know, pedal or whatever you want to call it on here, or some sort of like kind of like the same thing as this right here, where you can adjust your own speed. Problem is, if you're driving and you're trying to do something else or pay attention to something, it's kind of a pain to monkey with all that stuff, and so I'd rather just it to be working correctly. So I am going to take apart this old carb and kind of clean it up and see if maybe that helps. Realize, so I'm going to throw this in here. There's going to be a cover on it too, and to take that off you actually have to take this off the side right here. There's a couple little screws, and I don't remember what size those are, and that'll pop this off of the starter. This goes over the starter, and then this has two in the front, one on this side and one on that side, kind of towards the back. 7/16 I believe bolts holding that on, so you got to yank that off before you can get to any of this stuff. And you got to yank your air filter off as well, obviously. First thing I need to do is take this off. Gas is going to come out. I do have a few buckets underneath here, and on mine I got the shut off here hopefully that'll keep it from draining out. We'll see. I may have to plug it up with something if that is not the case, but hopefully that'll work. I'm sure some's going to come out anyway, but over here where the carburetor meets the head here, and it's a couple of 3/8 bolts. I thought they'd be 10mm, but they're actually 3/8. So anyway, there's one here at the top and then one down here underneath. So those seem to be coming off fairly easy. I don't know if it's because I had this engine a little bit warm, but that one anyways has popped off fairly easy. Hopefully the other one will too. I might need a socket for that one though. Well, I'm having trouble getting this off down here, so there's a 1/2" bolt right there that I'm popping out, and that loosens up your exhaust. Whether or not that's a normal thing, it kind of looks like something somebody might have did after the fact, but I don't know. But it still doesn't want to come completely out, so I have to figure that out. I think I have to maybe unscrew it. I'm not sure. I'm hoping it's not something that somebody jerry-rigged in there. We'll see. Alright, I got that bolt out of there, and this seems to be moving around an awful lot without it. Okay, and I believe these unscrew, but whether or not this is correct, I don't know. It seems to be unscrewing pretty well. So there you go. Now we can take our 3/8, if I can find it again here, and put it on the bottom down here and unbolt this from the head here. Well, I got that somewhat loose. It's got kind of a Phillips head on it. That'll come off a lot easier that way, I think. Now, I believe this tractor is from like around the 80s, late 70s, early to mid 80s. I honestly don't know. That pretty much unhooks that from there, and then we got this strap. I don't know if you can see it. There's a strap right here, and that. And we got an 8mm down here, it appears, holding this strap on here. Might be the equivalent American version of an 8mm. I don't know what there is here. Now, don't just let this flop, because you got a couple of things hooked to it still here. So that's just kind of hanging there, and you got this right here, which I believe is a choke that comes it just popped right out of here. And then you got this rod here, which is the that is for, oh wow, the governor. And there's supposed to be a spring on that. So if you don't have a spring on there, that spring can mess with your governor. I don't exactly understand how it works, considering it hooks exactly the same spots this hooks to, so I don't see how a spring would work, but I've heard people say that can really mess things up. And then in here, there's a bunch of gas dripping on me here. Right here, there's like I don't know if it's a PVC or a warm air intake kind of thing, but it just pops into the side of the block there. So there's your carb off. Let's get it up, get her cleaned up. And we have it all out now. I'll take these pieces and throw them in the little cup here. Where to start? I don't know. I've never actually taken apart a carburetor similar to this. This is older than anything I've worked on. And I do know that these should come out here, but I don't know what's underneath. There's some sort of a needle type thing, and there's probably a seat down below. I'll stick those to the side. This right here, pull and adjust that out. There's not really anything under that, so it just needs cleaned. So now these, from what I get, I believe you do need to kind of pay attention on how far down this goes. In fact, I might start, I'm going to go get a wrench for that and just pull that off and leave this alone for now, so I don't mess that adjustment up maybe. I have a looks like 1/2 inch socket here. I'm just going to deep well. I'm just going to start by trying to loosen it up and we'll see. Well, it was in there tight. Let's hope that's the way it was supposed to go. There's that needle there, and there's a little washer. Stick that down on the cup over here, and that should allow this to kind of come off. Ew, that is pretty crusty. Lots of stuff down in here. So I'm actually just going to take and pull that float off. It appears to be a brass float. Usually there's a pin back here, which there is. Take this little straw here, push it out. There's a little pin and a float. I know with these ones, you shake them. If you hear any fluid in there, then it's bad. It probably needs, you can resolder these up and stuff, but to each their own on what they want to do. Boy, I'm surprised this thing was running very well at all to begin with, because there's a lot of nasty in here. Okay, there's like a little pin. So this is the, I can't remember if that's the needle, but I don't remember the name of it. It's been too long since I've messed with this kind of stuff. It doesn't look too bad. So I'm gonna actually stick that to the side because I don't want that doing anything bad. There's not a lot of plastic or parts on this one, or rubber parts on this. I've decided I'm gonna go ahead and pull this apart here, and basically I'm just gonna set this right here, kind of about there, and that ought to get me close enough when I go to put her back together to hopefully get it right. I don't know what this is. It seems like something would unscrew, but then it also appears to be part of the thing in here. Well, looks like it should unscrew. This is one of those places where, again, we're just kind of learning together. I've worked on some older carburetors in my day, but not quite like theirs. Not older, but I mean like lawnmower carburetors and carburetors with weed whackers and those kind of things. But quite honestly, I've never seen one quite like this. But they're all similar. I'm not exactly sure what that is, but it looks probably important. So I'm going to stick that in the bowl over here and kind of go through and take off what I feel like I can comfortably take off. There's the wish I had all the names of these things, but I really don't. Well, I found a bigger screwdriver, but it's too big to fit down in there, and I've tried a couple more times with this one, and I'm just going to booger it up. So I don't want to cause any worse of an issue, so I can kind of see all the way down through there that it does have something to do with this part right here. I can see all the way through here, so I should be able to shoot some carb cleaner down in there and hopefully be able to clean it out okay wise. Kind of wish I had one of those carb dip kits, but they're kind of spendy. Quite honestly, it looks really clean actually down inside there. The outside and in here is the worst of it. This is pretty darn bad. So I'm just going to take this thing and shoot some carb cleaner on it and try and scrape some of the worst of the gook out. We got her pretty well cleaned up. Big thing, you want to make sure that you hook these up before you put the carburetor on. I got the spring there. I haven't got this side of the spring in yet. That'll poke in there when I'm done. But something else, there's a gasket over here, and it's a pretty big one. Whoa, didn't want to do that. And it goes all the way down, and it kind of covers up a gap, and then it's there. I didn't even notice it was there. It was so stinking greasy and nasty, but cleaned it up the best I can. Still looks like it'll probably hold, hopefully. And just so you know, you may have to get another one of those, but it's a pretty big one. It goes all the way across, down, around, and around there. But anyhow, I'm gonna pop it on there, and we'll see. I don't have high hopes. Well, taking my T9 bow shield after putting it all together, cleaning it up. All I did was basically clean up the car like you've seen me do everything else. I used some that purple grease, the cleaner stuff, some brake clean, and put it all together. In fact, I need to tighten this before I start things probably, so I'm going to do that. Anyway, so I put that all together and just kind of cleaned it up. I didn't really tear apart anything else other than what you saw me take apart. Just cleaned all those parts and pieces up. Sprayed brake clean through them. Carb cleaner would probably be better, but I don't have any carb cleaner right now. So anyways, it's just kind of a cleanup. It's not a rebuild. So like I said, I don't think that is actually the problem. This carburetor actually, other than the gasket and the bowl there, I didn't really see a whole lot of rubber parts and things like that that go bad on it. So I just don't know as far as rebuilding the carb on this. I could get some needles and that kind of stuff, but I'm not going to take it that far. I got a whole nother motor I can put in this thing if I need to, and that's probably the next step I will take in the process here. So get this tightened down and we'll get her, see if we can start her up. Oh, and then I did lube it all up with the T9 bowl shield. I actually lubed up the throttle in here, lubed up the parts and pieces on the carburetor that move, the parts and pieces inside where the throttle hooks to, where the governor kind of spring is, and all that kind of stuff over here. But you probably can't see any of that stuff. I was planning on just kind of using this as a start, but really I just cleaned stuff up is about all I did, and lubed stuff up. And so we'll go for here and see what happens. Let me get some fuel in there. Better than before. My door's closed, so I don't want to run it for too long, but that may have, at the very least, helped it quite a bit. There you go. Clean up your carb, and if you're having a full throttle issue where you pretty much have to run it on choke the whole time, just at least with this one, I just cleaned it up. So I know it probably wasn't much of a video, but it just shows that, you know, a little bit of gunk in your carburetor can really mess up how things are running. So I am a super happy camper now. I was getting a little bit frustrated with this tractor, a lot frustrated with this tractor after all the things I've done to it. So I really like the tractor. I like the looks of it. I really did not want to pull the motor out of that other one. These parts here for the governor won't work off of the other one. It's a different type of setup because it's older. So, but anyhow, if you're having that same problem, full throttle, have to have the choke on to run, that is a good chance you just need to clean up your carburetor. Alright, this is Sam, Jack of all, and obviously, master of none. You all have a good one.